Hello there. Thanks for joining me again. I hope you're doing well. We're here still stuck in lockdown. And I don't know about you, but I don't know quite how I would have coped with this isolation that's over 10 months now without the good offices of Amazon. Um, I know there are reasons not to like Amazon, but unfortunately, they do a very good job very well. For instance, this is just another example of what happens. I was in need of a new garden spade, and I found the one I wanted on the manufacturer's website, and it was about £40. Quite a nice spade, of course. It's about £40, delivery 2 to 3 weeks. So I did what everybody else does. I went to Amazon. They had it, £35. Delivery tomorrow. And what you're going to go for? You get instant delivery and 10 or 15% less than the list price. How they do it, I don't know, but there you go. And they send me constant updates to say your package has been, your order has been accepted, it's been dispatched, it'll be arriving tomorrow. It'll arrive tomorrow between 11 and 1, whatever. And then sometime around 12 o'clock, I hear a van pull into the drive. I hear a man walking around. And then before the van has even left the drive, I get another email from Amazon saying your order's been delivered. And here's a picture of it outside the house, which is terrific, really. It doesn't really matter so much as soon as I'm sitting here anyhow. But if I was at work, if I was away, then it'd be very useful to know that. And there's been talk for a few years now at some of the main chemical logistics events, certainly in Europe, that I've attended at the EPCA annual meeting, the Logichem meeting, none of which, of course, are happening at the moment in real life, although they are going virtual. But there has been a lot of talk about how we as consumers have got used to this level of service, and that because the people who work in business are all consumers too, they're a completely different class of people, they're beginning to expect that from their B2B relationships. They want to know when their goods have been dispatched. They want to know when they're going to be arriving. They want to know of any holdups on the way. And so, since then, there has been a lot of effort by leaders in the digitisation process to provide the tools that chemical shippers and their logistics service provider partners need in order to give the customer all the information that it could possibly require. Now, that's been seen as a good thing. And yet, I was sitting in on ITCO, the International Tank Container Organisation, kindly invited me to sit in on their annual meeting of tank container operators and lessors, which again is happening virtually rather than in person. And amongst all the chat about how the market was, well, I have to be careful, I can't talk too much about how the market's going, but in general terms, what's going on in China, which was an interesting story in itself and something that I've written about and is or should soon be, I can't remember, on the HCB Live website. But there was an update on what's going on with digitisation and stories about how industry has got to work together, really, to establish platforms that are acceptable all the way along the supply chain and with the right sort of information. And a couple of speakers pointed to what ECTA, the European Chemical Transport Association, has done in terms of defining, they call them mileposts along the delivery chain. And this is where the interesting point came. When somebody quite senior in the business said, in no uncertain terms, that do the receivers actually want all this information? Which is odd in a way, because the story we were given was that pressure for digitization was coming from the consumers, the end purchasers of chemicals, who were expecting the Amazon experience from their commercial suppliers. But the comment was, well, it might be a good idea for them to be able to know when it's been, when the consignment has left the manufacturing plant or the distributor or whoever, and probably a good idea for them to have some information, some clarity, some visibility over when it's due. But they really don't need information all the way along the supply chain. If you're sending something from, say, China to Europe, it's enough for your supplier to say, well, it left the port on the 1st, and it should be with you on the 1st of next month, or however long it takes for a container ship these days, always slow steaming, to get around to Europe. And we'll give you an update closer to the time. And, as the receiver, that will probably do you. There's no need for daily or even hourly updates, a little ping on the screen to say, oh, your shipment's just past Singapore. It's of no interest whatsoever. And the question was raised, do we think our customers want this information? Or are we just giving them too much? What are they going to do with it? Well, I think that's a good question. What are they going to do with it? It's pretty useless, really, for most of the leg, unless there's an upset, unless it's a rail consignment that gets detoured because the track's been broken, or a barge consignment that can't get through because the water's low. Anyway, and it seemed to me that the whole process of digitization is really about two things. One is the sort of Amazon experience for those who want it, and it can be done, even for unaccompanied shipments, tank containers, rail wagons, and so on. But there's all that information available now through sensors on mobile units, mobile assets, that is actually of more use to the operator, the logistics service provider itself, in order to be able to analyze what's going on, where the holdups are, how different routes perform at different times, how different drivers really, on a personal basis perform. Are they quick? Are they too quick? Are they unsafe? And of course, is the cargo still in good order? That's particularly important with self-reactives, polymerizing substances that may cause a problem. But as for the receiver, well, not so much, I think. That was a little insight I gleaned from that meeting, which was quite useful. And maybe going forward, we'll talk about that a little more. After all, the Logicam event is going ahead in a virtual format. And there will be more discussions, I'm sure, having looked at some of the webinars they have planned, that digitisation is high still on the agenda. Digitisation for sustainability, for environmental protection, etc., that's a whole different topic. But delivery of information, well, it's horses for courses, I think. With that thought, I'll leave you for this week. I hope to be returning to you same time, same place next week. Thanks for watching. Stay cool. Bye.